Okay, we're up in the air flying to Elko, Nevada, and as we're flying up there from Colorado, we fly over enormous areas of resource extraction, and as we get more into Nevada, we start to see more island ranges come up, and we'll see a mine almost at the base of every one of these ranges as we come through. Then we enter an area called the Carlin Trench, and at the Carlin Trench we see the really amazing and gigantic scale of hard rock gold mining which has taken place. And that's the reason we're up here today. We're here supporting the Tiffany No Dirty Gold campaign. We're working with Earthworks, and what we are tasked to do on this trip is to fly Native Alaskans who are up near the Bristol Bay area in southwest Alaska, where there are huge gold mines being proposed. And I said southwest, and I don't mean that, I meant the northwest area. In the northwest area. And so the people of Alaska are coming down to see what a real gold operation looks like, to see these enormous holding ponds, to see the industrialization of the land. And the only way you really can get close to a mine and really get a very good vision of the scale is to get up in an airplane. And our EcoFlights, we've taken movies, we've helped produce movies, we've worked extensively with the press and CBS, NBC, and taken people up to see some very little seen and known sites and present them with little known facts. The tailings around these mines, the holding ponds, the areas that they take, 3,000-foot pits. And to learn more about this, I urge you to check out our website and various links to some of the experts. We are not experts, but what we do is we're taking experts over these areas and concerned citizens over these kinds of holding ponds for this cyanide leach process that's happening with gold. Enormous amounts, tons of tons of ore are needed to be scooped up and have cyanide sprinkled on them in order to come up with specks now, just microscopic specks of gold that will stay with the cyanide and then be collected in these huge holding ponds. And you can see for miles these mines go around, and there's blasting plants, there's processing plants, and there's evaporation plants. There's all kinds of things that we see, and as I say, we take up some very famous movie makers. This gentleman just recently made a movie that won awards at some of the major film festivals, and we have links for his movies online. And there we have the tribal leaders, tribal elders, we have experts, we have the film crew, and all of this is made possible by the generous donations of Tiffany Corporation. And Tiffany, you'd say, why are they doing that? They're a big jewelry maker. Well, they really believe, just like I believe with oil and gas, that mining, hard rock mining, can and must be done properly. And the liners on some of these mines, if not done properly, will leak into the aquifers and create huge problems. And here in Nevada, it's one of the driest states we have, very little water, but there's an enormous amount of water being used from the aquifers, used in the process. And then we find that these huge 3,000-foot, literally holes in the ground, but these craters are, where they're extracting the gold from and the ore from, fill up with water again. So they can be really contaminated with the water sources. Here in a place with little water, it makes for a danger of the water supply. But then one of the problems is the water that is in the aquifers will seep up into these enormous pits, and they'll fill up the pits. As the case of Butte, Montana, they will fill up the pits actually. So in a place like Bristol Bay, you have so much more water that you're going to contaminate a lot more of it, and these are the home to the one of the biggest salmon industries that we have, and the Native Alaskans rather, are very concerned that it's going to totally decimate their salmon producing streams and regions, and that's where they make all their money. So they are very concerned about what's going on here, and our tours over the Carlin Trench has really enlightened a lot of these people, and they go back to have a much more informed decision. I don't look very informed right there, like querying, but some of the leaders, and that's myself, sitting there with some of the major leaders from the organizations. And they all, they all participated in the flight, and they all just were really astounded by the scale, by the total scope of what happened. And this is all combined with a ground tour of the facility with earthworks. So they go on the ground, they tour the ground, they come up and fly with us, and really take a real good look at the landscape, see how much of the landscape that it covers, see some of the effects, they learn the problems of what's going on, and they come back to their homes and they talk to their constituents and their friends and their other elders, and they let them know their opinions about what's going on. And these are better informed opinions, obviously. These vehicles that we see from the air, we're flying about 800 feet above these mines and the pits, and of course they go down thousands of feet into the pits. But each one of those vehicles are really huge. They're about the size of a small house. The amounts of loads and the size of this equipment, as again, like I say, it's tough to grasp the scale of some of the industrialization of what's going on here. The ore piles, the amounts of water, the liners that are necessary. It's actually quite amazing. And again, we all feel pretty strongly that mining can and must be done properly. Other aspects of this issue are they want to expand some of their mining into some of the lands of the Shoshone, and there's been a big land battle going on between the Shoshone and the BLM, and there's been all kinds of problems and concerns. And here's another example of the groundwater. The groundwater seeps into these wells, into these mines, and fills them up and contaminates them. And it's one of the biggest concerns that they have out there in this arid land, and it's even much more of a concern back where the Alaskans will be. And I think we're headed home. And as we were headed home, everywhere you went in Nevada, there's more mines. I don't know exactly where these are, but some of the mines that we had, we were looking at were the Goldstruck mine and the Betsy Pit and the Barrick mine. And, we're talking about 20 million tons of gold sometimes to be used for a wedding ring. You think about that. And the other concern is you're also going to have big power plants to run all of this. A lot of interesting information that everybody should know a little bit about, especially if you live near some of these mines, so you can make some concerned, informed, and educated opinions about what you think about and what you think should be done with mining.